So, we're going to do these check-ins. I'm not doing individual signs. There's different waves of consciousness. There's different levels. This is why you'll be naturally gravitating towards a particular group of readers or reader. And then there are other ones that you wouldn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. Like, you don't even want the energy of the reading itself to manifest as a thought or a fear in your consciousness. So a lot of times you'll find people playing on other people's fears, and it works because this is the way they're energetically led to. And if you really stop and consider it, right, we're going to have people who are those antagonists who bring up those fears in our lives, and they're very necessary in order for you to build up your discernment. This is why people go through interpersonal relationships that seemingly break their heart or break their spirits or just really disappoint them and let them down. It's all orchestrated in that manner. So the moment, it's narcissist this, narcissist that, evil, karmic, etc., what you have done with the moniker is labeled a person to an extent where you have this boogeyman in this area of your life. You have now manifested a reason not to ever enact forgiveness on a real deal fundamental scale, which is also necessary. It's like being a gardener in a war or being a warrior in a garden. Which one would you rather be? So we're building up discernment here in order to be in any environment around any group of people. Fuck being introverted or extroverted and those titles itself. If you're not feeling safe, you're not gonna feel safe no matter where you go. It's a personal dilemma. It belongs to no one else and no other place. If you're not in the vibration of those places that are full of anxiety, that are full of people with addictions, obsessions, and craziness or whatever, if you're not resonating with that, you won't be there. Naturally, your spirit won't let you be there. But if it's more so, I get anxiety when I go into public places, you need to figure out why you are so fucking anxious, why you're so fucking nervous, because it's your fear to find out and deal with. It's not for anyone else to coddle. We're not here for that at all, in any shape, form, fashion, or capacity. There comes a time when you're no longer a victim in the story and you are a victor of a circumstance. So you can be that gardener that was taken advantage of in the war, trampled on, defeated, or you can build up your skills, improve yourself, and be that warrior that's in the garden. So if anything ever did pop off, you'd be on the ready. You have hoes, you got tools, you got spades, you got all kinds of things within this garden that could now be used towards your benefit, because you've learned both aspects of war and peace. So if you're only used to one way of being, or have a mindset that only seemingly positive or good things are what you want to go towards, and avert all things that may be challenging, you are not going to grow at all. You're going to stay stuck, you're going to stay stagnant, and you're going to stay alone. That's just pretty much what box you're putting yourselves in by making a decision like that, and other people around you as well. You will see the fear mongering. You will see these things on social media, people sharing the same types of memes, relating and assigning certain things to themselves, but at the same time saying it's just a post. You don't know my life. You can go down someone's page and pick up the subtle cues of how, if you know what you're looking at, you can. You really can. You can see where somebody's emotional health is, where their spiritual health is, where their physical health is. You can tell some of these things. And some people will only present what they want to be seen, what they want to be noticed, in a facade face, what, you know, in a type of facade. But if you are very in tuned and attuned, you'll be able to see through that as well. It's not about trying to know other people's business. This is not, to me, this is not the primary purpose of these tools. But not everybody's built like that. They're going to use it. However, this is why certain things have been kept secret for a very long time, because of the misuse and the damage that can cause. So I have these Bob Ross cards, and I wanted to pull a couple because they're just so fucking cute. We have the Six of Hearts at the bottom. It says, anything that you try and you don't succeed, if you learn from it, it's not a failure. Get what I'm saying? It's the Seven of Clubs. Every painting is going to be different, and that's what makes it great. Uniquely you. Nobody can tell you how to walk your journey. Even if it's a specific sign collective reading, you have to understand that the reader is reading based on their energy signature and will relay the message in, it has to come through spiritually, it has to come through emotionally, and it has to come through mentally to be delivered. So it's going to get filtered through their perspective of handling or perception, the way that they can see in their everyday lives. And there are times when you'll find readers who can see this in an objective kind of way. So everything is not about what was done to you, but what you've also done in a situation, or where you may have been in your own way. Keep in mind that those are, it's more to it. You know, there's three sides to every story. So, Three of Clubs. I don't try to understand everything in nature. I just look at it and enjoy it. And Two of Clubs. We have a lot of fire energy here. Let's make some nice little clouds that just float around and have fun all day. So I'm seeing a little passivity, and in one regard, it's passive and wanting, if you find peace in this present moment, wanting to hold on to that. But you also know that you have to get back out there. You have to do more. You have to do it again. Because these are cycles. There's always an end. There's always a beginning. And sometimes they overlap. And maybe it was a whammy. Maybe it really did some of you in to want to just take this break. And it could be very, very much well-deserved. So do so, but not with the intention to avoid going back in and doing something else, or doing it again with a renewed sense of knowledge, a renewed sense of experience and wisdom behind it. So this could be being laid off of work, or not being at work for a while and getting back into the workforce. This can be having a fallout with a family member, getting back in close proximity with them and being able to hash out those things and really talk through them. No matter how traumatic they may have been, if they're not brought up to the surface by you, they'll be brought up by spirit, and they'll catch you when you think you're at the top of your game and drop your ass down to size to humble you, because you can't build that on top of falseness. You have to clear your ground. You have to, in order to stand your ground, you have to make sure it's clear. You have to make sure it's level and it's worth protecting. So if it's fears and if it's traumas that you're trying to protect and build on top of that, then that falsity, that false sense of security will make things come crashing down, no matter how nicely it was built or the positive steps you've taken after it. If you don't dig down and find out what's underneath that soil, it could really come up to do some damage. I was going to use the numerology cards, but I've used them for the personals, and it's just not, I'm not necessarily feeling them for these types of messages. I have the Artist's Way creativity cards, because I really feel that there's a new way that we need to be implementing everything that we're learning, everything that we know. It's a lot of knowledgeable people on this platform and in the community in general, and they all have different types of jewels. I remember a subscriber of mine, I think I was, this was around 2017 when I was really getting into speaking outwardly about twin flames and things like that, which I had known about since 2010 but didn't give much thought or research into. I was still finding out what paradigm shifts were. I was still finding out what health concerns align with different chakras and those blockages. So that was that was back when the only people who had information had actually done the groundwork and were about that life. So way back then, to fast forward to 2017 and be like, okay, I'm ready to speak up on it, because I've been seeing my own kind of alignment, my own paradigm shift had taken place. So let me speak on it to those who may not be in the know, who may not understand what's going on. And I did have to step away from the whole twin flame thing, because it goes through stages of understanding. And a subscriber of mine began to ask me about the emerald tablets, and I had done some work with Thoth and Ma'at, but not extensively, to get into the emerald tablets and start to break those down. The Kabbalion, the you got Hermes Trismegistus. You have a whole plethora of different resources and people who have actually taken the time to dive deep into those. Just recently was talking to another reader. I dig her reading style. Like, it's really, it is intuitive, and it is well developed. But yeah, speaking on, different deities and stuff, specifically like or when it has to do with demons, and I even brought up angels, because they're points of energy versus like categories of good and bad, because you have angels that will hem somebody ass up and have them fucked up too. Like, so you and these entities of demons that they're assigning as well. You have maliciousness, and then you have other things, other traits, but they're no different than people. So even still, you will align with what you're ready to know, what you're ready to learn. So if you find yourself attracted to particular readings that deal and delve into black magic, if you are not a practitioner, and if you have been doing your shadow work and not in a fearful mindset, those things won't attach to you as detrimentally as they're being broadcasted. It's as if one person says something about it, and then it just catches on, and then a lot of people are talking about it. So then this becomes the new normal. It's a theory that enough people start to believe, and then it manifests as quote unquote fact. So be mindful. All your messengers are not getting their messages from the same place. Trust and believe. All right, so artist way. We have change. That's pretty. If you think of the universe as a vast electrical sea in which you are immersed and from which you are formed, opening to your creativity changes you from something bobbing in that sea to a more fully functioning, more conscious, more cooperative part of that ecosystem. I like it. And this one is empower yourself. All too often we become blocked and blame it on our lack of money. This is never an authentic block. The actual block is our feeling of constriction, our sense of powerlessness. Art requires us to empower ourselves with choice. You always have a choice. Even if your option is to go without or be stressed out about it while you're making the money, you got the choice. You choose how you want to feel. You choose how you want to do something. You choose whether or not you want to or have to. Those are choices too. So just reconfiguring the way that you approach things and the way that you conduct yourself while you do them makes a drastic difference. To be like, damn, I have to go to work. Now it seems like obligation and it becomes burdensome. And then you feel how heavy that becomes when you're like, I'm going to work, or I want to go to work so that I can come home and do what I need to do, or I want to go to work, come home so that I can relax. It gives what you're doing a purpose more so than an obligation that is daunting. So we're reconfiguring our speech and also making sure that at each moment of every day you are actively, not passively, experiencing life, but actively choosing how you experience it. So if you're seeing so many bad days, you're going to have to convince yourself otherwise. Like, it's no one else's job to show you a good time or show you that the day is good. If you are in a low vibration, you're not going to recognize shit that's possibly opportunistic for you to take on, to actually embrace. So opportunities will elude you, but they're sitting right there in front of your face. But your vibration is so low that your focal point is the ground, which, I mean, you need to be grounded, but when you know you're firmly on the ground and that you're safe and that you're good and you're in your body, you're in your temple, you can look up and not feel unraveled, not feel that you'll fly off into some kind of fantasy or be caught up in the energies around you. So it really is about what you're choosing. If you want peace, things of peace will be drawn to you as much as you'll be drawn to them. It's all about your focus. Let me not go more into that. Going sane. It is important to remember that at first flush, going sane feels like going crazy. Growth is an erratic forward movement. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Remember that and be very gentle with yourself. A creative recovery is the healing process. Move toward divinity. It is safe to open ourselves up to a greater and greater creativity. Our creative dreams and yearnings come from a divine source. As we move toward our dreams, we move toward our divinity. So you choose. And this is sitting over the 6 of hearts here. You choose. Because it seems like with this 7 of clubs here, there is quite a struggle with wanting to evolve, wanting to get more into your spirit body. There's a part of the ascent where you feel like you're too far off the ground, that people in your environment or people in your life may not resonate with you anymore, as if you're off your fucking rocker, when really you're just too light for the dense environment that you've been in, that you grew up in, that you've been confining yourselves to pretty much. This blockage being money, it's a point of expansion. You're expecting more because you know more is supposed to be coming to you, and it's not just out of nowhere that you're getting this sense. You really do know that these things are coming in and they're meant for you. But the length of time is the is more dependent on a couple of things: transitory and your vibration. If it's not a match to you, if you're not actually getting your things in order. When I'm seeing this Three of Clubs, I'm thinking of somebody who has to not only, like, you have to prepare yourself to go on this trip. You know what I'm saying? You really have to do those things. You have to travel light or make sure that you're fully prepared. And what I mean by fully prepared, when you're packing for a vacation, you get your necessities, toiletries if you need to. You're packing some kind of clothing. There are certain things that you have. You're not going to bring every fucking thing with you. When you know you're going from one level to the next, if you're going up a flight of stairs, there's certain things that you won't carry up them stairs. You'll do it in increments. If you're going down the stairs, you may carry more shit with you because you know you don't have to deal with the resistance. So be mindful of that as well. It's a conscious choice being made here to start oscillating, starting to vibrate with your natural, what your natural affinity is. And because a lot of bonds have been made with people who aren't naturally resonant with us, it's more familiar or familial through circumstance or upbringing or region of living, culture, whatever it may be that makes us like these other people. Once those circumstances change, and some will, some won't, you know, if they're family, people consider family to be always family, but having to come up with different criteria to put people, you know, to gauge the worth, not of the people themselves, but of the relations that you carry with them, the relativity that you carry with them, because that is like trying to put them on your back and climb up these steps while you're headed towards your next destination. It will take you longer because your vibration is too dense. It will you'll be more exhausted by the time you get there and not actually be able to fully immerse yourself in the experience of having done something well for yourself, having done something good for your fucking self. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of perspective shifts that need to take place. What's this? Fantasizing. Damn. I mentioned this. Fantasizing about pursuing our art full time, we fail to pursue it part time or at all. Rather than take a scary baby step toward our dreams, we rush to the edge of the cliff and then stand there quaking, saying, I can't leap, I can't. So consumed with the way it looks at the end that the first step is the hardest to make. I was thinking about the readings, like, damn, what could possibly come up for everybody this week? Like, you know, to do the check-in. And I just don't like when shit gets stagnant. I don't like when it's the same. You know what I'm saying? So my style is not cookie cutter. I could do a Celtic cross spread each and every time I record, or something, you know, similar each and every time, but that's just not how my art works. That's just not how my messages come. They don't come, you know, bulleted. They don't come in a spreadsheet. For me to carry Virgo energy, there's this misconception about organization and perfection, and, you know, those have been blockages for me because of what everybody assumed that I should be doing, and assumed how it should be presented, assumed that that's what I was focused on, and projecting that onto me. even so far to tell me to focus only on Virgo readings. If my readings for their sign don't resonate with them, then it's not fucking for you. That's just what it is. I can't tell you about you if it's not resonating. These aren't your messages. But also to know to isolate a specific energy and to keep diving and digging in that one energy, you start to bring up the, especially if you're of that sign and you start to dig specifically into this one sign instead of maybe an energy, a collective energy of a certain zodiac that may resonate with you, but it's not your primary. You can bring insight that they don't see. But when you're of that sign and you're, trying to get into it and you're only advising them, you start to play on their own falseness, their own lower vibrational traits. And it really becomes detrimental to keep telling these clusters of people to live their life like this because they're whatever. It does a lot of damage because, like, I will go and I'll go watch a reader. If I look at their channel and they have nothing but Pisces, or they have nothing but Virgo, they have nothing but Taurus, I know this person has a bias. So anybody who shows up may just be, the worst because of the perception of this energy, the way that they process pain or the way that they process problems. It's not safe. It's not, it's like, I don't know. It starts to become too muddied and too muddled. Like, and because there are all kinds of groups like this all over the platform and in the community associated with the collective, these are things that, have to neo that shit and matrix through it. This is like, I can't take what you say at face value. If I know you favor a certain sign, you're not really giving them the full girth of your ability. It's like catering. And then there are instances where people have all signs and then they do branch off and they can perform both, and they can be well versed in that, and I can respect it. Okay. Ooh. Shit. Simikiel, the angel of vengeance. This is something to look out for, because a lot of people have vendettas and they don't even know that what they're battling is not you or another person. It's a thought form. I'll get into that in a second. We have Remiel, angel of visions. Leliel, angel of night. Zechariel, angel of memory. Now, what I'm seeing is that things get skewed in the memory itself. And once it's like you have an experience and then the next day you'll remember it, it's only as accurate as your memory and recall of the event. You're not living out each second in that memory. You may ponder it for 1 minute. You may think about it for 5 minutes. You may think about it for 10 minutes, but the experience lasted an hour. So now you have this condensed version of a memory. an experience and you have gauged it with an overall feeling or perspective. This is how you feel about it. This is your point of view. When you recall it and you give the details to someone else, you're still not encapsulating every single moment of that experience. Therefore, the memory is only as valid as the last time you remembered it. Each and every time you recall a memory, it is condensed, it is chopped, it is screwed, and it is further and further from the actual experience of truth. So the way that you feel about it the last time that you remembered it now takes on the energy all its own, and it now becomes its own thought form. And whatever you assign to it in that first experience, through time, each time you recall it, it changes. It's a variation of that initial feeling based on how you're remembering it or how you're speaking it up in conversation. And so this could very well have to do with the way you see it in your dreams or dreams that you may have had. So, or even visions for the future, the way that you see it for yourself, or the way you envisioned something going specifically. Your mind has never forgotten what has actually occurred. This is how people can go through hypnosis and recall memories or soul retrieval and things like this, because the unconscious is linked to the soul, and you can get access to those things that consciously you may have blocked, which the subconscious and the mind will protect you in blocking certain things from your view. So if there's certain truths that you want to come into, you will be kept from it if you knowing the information harms your psyche, harms your spirit, harms your emotions in any shape, form, or fashion. This is why people tend to not remember super traumatic occurrences that may have happened early in childhood or a block of time in their teenage years, because of how damaging they may have been, could be blocked out. People who have suffered abuse at the hands of others can block out or etch out these things, and it's very blurry around those moments. They could be coming up at night through visions and dreams. Leliel in this context almost reminds me of Lilith, and kind of tying in with this angel of memory, how she got some big ass feet. Shit. Look at her foot. Can you see that? That's a long ass foot back there for it to be a damn ballet slipper. Anyway, how a specific, okay, what I don't get when I think about the Bible and they speak about Lilith being the first woman and her not wanting to submit to Adam. How did Adam know anything about dominance and sex if it wasn't until Eve supposedly ate this fruit of truth that they knew now that they're naked, and they started to know what was right and what was wrong, or had a sense of awareness? Something ain't adding up. A lot ain't adding up. But when it comes to that specifically, it's and going back to the Kali Ma conversation I was having with that reader, to know that Peep Shiva, and he got all his wives. All right, so Kali is a warrior. She's on the battlefield, and speaking about warrior and gardens and things like that. The only way to defeat that fucking demon that they were actually fighting, they were fighting a demon. And every time they cut him open or sliced him or whatever, every single drop of blood that hit the battlefield would spawn another one. So this thing was built to not die. It was manifested in that form. It needed somebody who was on the ready, who was prepared to take on whatever the fuck this was, in order to defeat it. None of the men on the battlefield, none of the warriors, none of Shiva folk could stop this. Every blow they inflicted, it bled and it spawned more demons. So what did Kali do? What the only thing that she felt she knew how. She rolled out her tongue, covered the battlefield, and this this demon had to be slayed. And in doing so, it directly affected her. And she went on sort of a rampage then, killing shit, fucking shit up, because she had been afflicted by an experience and went haywire on everything else. Okay, so the only thing that brought her to was because she has about 15 forms, and from the full moon to the new moon is Kali's time. There are mantras to go with every form of Kali Ma. She shows up in different forms. She does different things. There's balance in who Kali is. It's not just a destroyer. It's also a nurturer. It's also a protector. It's a warrior. It's feminine. It's fierceness, but it's gentleness at the same time. She has many different forms. So the only thing that brought her to was her stomping everything moving, and she fucked around and stepped on Shiva. About damn killed him. She had to bring him back to life. But it was her love for him, her mercy, that really snapped her out of it. So you're going to have instances in your life, things that are taking you out of your character. The way that you remember them, you may think about them with a need for vengeance, a need for get back, a need for administering karma that is not your responsibility to give. Because if you're an instrument of karma, you won't know it. You'll just be in a place at a time doing a thing, and it will affect somebody who is on the receiving end of that karma. It is not for you to dictate. It is not for you to choose to give someone their karma. That's not how this works. So the retaliations, the vengeance, the get back, all based on thought forms and how you're remembering something, will do you damage because you're fully aware that you're doing this thing in retaliation to what you perceive somebody to do to you. So if somebody is being used by the universe to be an instrument of karma or lesson, because you need to transcend certain blockages within your life, within your spirit, within your aura, within your chakra system, your energy, whatever, in your mind, you have these blockages where you're closed-minded, and you have someone who comes into your life that you accept to break the border and the box of thought that you have been stuck and confined into. This brings in the ability to have the visions, to have the foresight, because you can see behind you, angel of memory, that it was not as detrimental as you once perceived. Now you have some things that are very, very traumatic. You have some things that are very heinous in accordance to human law. If you're in that case, you might as well be the person giving the lethal injections, because you're trying to be judge, jury, and executioner towards another human being who is human like you. Their path is different than yours. You're not in control of how they're receiving, having to pay those debts off. It's not for you to decide. So if you can't take accountability for the situation you were in, detach yourself from the pain, the memory of pain itself. This is you. This is the pain. At once, they were like this because your physical body was feeling the pain. But once you have physically healed, it's the spirit that is taking the time to heal. It's the heart, the emotion, the feeling of it, the memory of it that is needing to heal. The pain was here in that moment in time, and you are now here. So with that separation of space, if you're still oscillating in that pain, you keep reliving it through memory, and it keeps getting more distorted, more disfigured, more monstrous. it will inflict more damage because this thought form is now starting to become a swamp. And you'll be sitting in this cesspool of pain that is actually no longer present. It's on a different timeline, in a different paradigm, but you're trying to keep it. You're trying to hold it. You're trying to be in it. You want so badly to get out of it and to release it, but you won't release yourself from it. Once you can see it, like, damn, you see the pain versus feeling the pain every single solitary time you recall it, it gets worse and it gets worse, and it starts to fester, and it starts to be perverse to the point where vengeance is the only answer, because a person's mind has gone mad. A person has driven themselves to the point of crazy. That is a conscious choice. You have no control over other people's actions, only yours, only what you choose. So, in knowing the pain is here and you are here, you can start to look at this pain like an object. That's where your attention has been going or being averted, but it's still there. It's this big ass blazing, thing molten and fucking festering in the corner. It's there, it's very present, and you're aware of it. It will come up in your dreams. It'll come up in TV shows that you watch. It'll be spoken about, discussed about, and all as a trigger point for you to look at it. Not with your memory, with your consciousness now, where you are, with what you've learned, with where your new beginnings. Now you can see the truth, because now your mind is ready to accept the truth. Now you're ready to handle it. It had been blocked. It had been kept at bay. It had been pushed to the side so that you could keep living, to get you to this point. So now when night falls and those things crop up and they need to be dealt with, you need to really see what they're made of. It's like reams and reams and reams of photos, or it's like movie reels. It's one frame after the other. Like I said, you're not going to recall each and every single solitary one of them true to form, true to fact, as they happen. And even then, it's only your perception of. But for some reason, that is the reason why everything else is stalling. When we talk about this fucking shadow work, I'll show you this. These two images have holes in their mind space. They're not consciously thinking of what they're doing. They're just doing it. And even still, they have that orb type around their head. They have this spherical, because it is patterning. It is cycle. Things do come full surface. Circle. Surface. It's the mind that needs to work. And I am glad that I wore this yellow, you know what I mean? Because it's something you have to feel, but it's not necessarily something you have to logically think. Because the way that it unfolds and the way that it unravels, your logic hasn't gotten through this maze, hasn't gotten through this labyrinth, hasn't gotten through these reams of thought successfully. Otherwise, it would have been dealt with already. This is something you're going to have to feel in the pit of you, that you have to revisit in your grown ass space right here, right now. If you walked into the room where these things were transpiring, this relationship was breaking down, where this parent did whatever, you have to see yourself as the adult you are now, embodied as the adult you are now, walking into that situation, amended as you would defending someone else you're seeing going through this, but not with a vengeance. Like, I hope you get what I'm saying. I hope. Green tea with no sugar. I need to get up off of here soon. So I have adequate time to download with no interruptions. What is this? The Weaver Tarot. Threads of Fate Weaver Tarot. I like it. I like the thick card stock. I like how the images, they're left up for your interpretation because they have symbols. They don't have words. You need to know what your intuition does. Let's see. Whoa. Okay. Two came face down. I got one face up. That's the Conqueror of Coins, which would be the Knight. I see the Seven of Wands. I have the Seven of Clubs here. Anything else? What do I need to convey? Is there anything else? Okay. At the bottom, Six of Cups. We did see that Six of Hearts. Let me show you, because this, and we have the Hermit underneath that, and Ten of Coins. So it definitely relates to upbringing. It relates to going back in and taking a full look at it. When I talked about time is more so like a vibration than anything else. This is how you can do something 1 year and 1 or 2 years later you're still feeling that same energy. It's a timeline, and it goes up and down scales. Like, you can be at a certain point, say you're at a certain point 1 year, and it's not naturally your vibration, but you've gotten really high and you're in just this wonderful ass energy. You're tapping into a different timeline of energy that you are coming into based on your choices. So say a year or two later, you find yourself in that same high spot, and you will start to recall what you were doing, or something will remind you what you were doing in that space 2 years prior or whatever. It will align with the energy that you reached, the vibration you reached. You have access to it now, even if the timeline is 2 years ago. So this is why a lot of people are stuck in the past, because their vibration is as low as it was during the event of trauma, or their low point is that low point of trauma. They always get taken back to that year, that point in time, that specific person that influences this response of vibration. So the Six of Cups does have a familiar and familial Ten of Coins type of feeling to it. And the Hermit is asking everybody to just take a look. Take a fucking look at it. Like, because that's the star, that's the key, that's the point of healing. And it's necessary. It's so fucking necessary. I like that these came out. Well, they were on the bottom of the deck anyway. So, what do I see here? Four of Swords and Nine of Swords. Again, it is going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time to go back to each and every circumstance. Start with ones that are closer to you before you try to go back to the major ones that really affected how you grew up as a person. You have to start and take the first step. If you think about how, like, because you've only known yourself up to this point with the trauma that you've had, or with the pains you had, the blockages you've had, it's hard to fathom who you would be without them. It is a separation anxiety, as much as it is Stockholm Syndrome, to hoard pain for safekeeping. It's not safe to keep. Shit, you got So you got to do something to unpack and unload this burden on your own self so that it's not so difficult for you to get through the next step to the next stage. This Nine of Swords, though, it affects everything. It affects the way you think, what you see, how you feel, what you speak, your connection to the, through the crown. It will hinder what you bring in through vision. You'll bring more vision-based fears and weird, your synchronicities will start to link up with your fears. If I once heard somebody say that 333 was people grouping up to gossip about you or talking about you or whatever, and once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it, and that's what would come up with that number association. And I had to work my way out of that, because it was like, what does it mean to me specifically? When I see it, what am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Because it's not going to be the same for everybody. Like 1111 and 111 is going to mean something completely different to someone else. It brings your attention to it because of the similarities, and you're seeing repetition. But repetition with what? What is the cycle? Or what are you noticing when you're seeing these? It's very specific to you. This is your wake-up call that's being administered, that only you can decipher. No one can tell you what it means to you. Just like these experiences, nobody can talk you out of pain. This has to be a personal job, an inside job. This is why shadow work, no one can come in and fix what the fuck you got going on. You have to identify, because no one knows you like you know you. No one. They'll tell you things that resonate with you or tell you where blockages are, but the way and the manner in which you handle them, they can advise methods or suggest things, but only you're going to be able to figure that shit out. You really have to get to know who the fuck you are outside of any familiar connection with another person. You have to get really familiar with your fucking self. Becoming your best friend that you don't have. Even if you have best friends, they're only best friends up to a certain extent. They do not know your life inside and out. They do not know all of your feelings inside and out, or the memories. No matter how much you actually share with them, doesn't matter. They're still separate beings. They don't have that inside. Even if you're relaying information, how you truly, to the core of you, feel about something is solely yours, no matter how you describe it. That's going to take some time. Tower. Yeah, it's time to confront this shit. Conqueror of Coins, which is really good. It's the Knight of Coins. It's going to take time. This looks like a compass to me. But the point of it is to, and if you can kind of look here, there's this imagery, and it's giving me tower vibes. In order to get into it and really break it apart, and I talked about the foundation, and if the shit is laid on falsity, no matter how great the things are you put on top of it, how expensive your furnishings are, how exquisite your landscape is, the shit will plummet. It will erode. It will bottom out. Look at all those landslides that happen in Florida specifically. This isn't the one that happened recently. That's not the first time they've had landslides and shit like that. Somebody wasn't fucking paying attention. They didn't perceive that there needed to be a little bit more looked into with the foundation that was laid, that was set, and how stable the ground is, not just on the surface or just a couple feet down. Like, how stable is this land here if we're doing all this work on it? The moon. We have the angel of night and the moon. And the Angel of Visions. It's getting very, very fucking specific for something that was off the muscle. Like, I didn't know what was going to be. It wasn't something, I'm going to talk about this today, I'm going to talk about that today. It really wasn't. It wasn't. I couldn't have planned it. When shit comes, it just comes. And what needs to be talked about needs to be talked about. Three of Cups. Sovereign of Cups. And this is the Queen. Seeker of Coins. Page of Pentacles. This is like reconciling what this shit means to you personally. Five of Swords. Having to confront the very things that you've taught yourself to believe about circumstance. The Five of Swords, the Nine of Swords are going up, they're coming down, they're coming every which way. They're really causing a lot of havoc. Especially things to do with the mind, scatteredness, anxiety attacks, manic depressive disorders. And these are influences that give these things more solid platform to manifest, if that makes sense. This isn't medical advice, but what I'm saying is it doesn't help the condition. It doesn't help the process. The mental process is taking such a toll on a lot of people. They're going to have to combat it with the same severity that administered it. And it was little bits and often, and it was over time that they've given themselves this title, that they've given themselves these emotions and this mindset of handling certain things, that it went from, Three of Cups type of, an experience, right? To something that got rooted in. We do see a tooth there and a key. The same thing that took root can be extracted, but it's also the key to the healing. The Sovereign of Cups is quite literally a cup, and it has a fucking pearl. It has a mollusk type lid to it. Oysters are not, they're mollusks. They're different types of crustaceans that create pearls. And it's not just a piece of sand. I studied permaculture. I do wear pearls, but I want to know in and out where they come from. It's not just a piece of sand that causes irritation. It's a piece of flesh or something seemingly, it triggers the response. And the thing is, the nacre that gets formed around that piece of flesh, which a lot of times, to be honest, in clear, the ones they're injecting a piece of meat into another fucking crustacean in order to influence the nacre to start to form around it. It's like it triggers something, and as a defense mechanism, it starts to spit out its nacre. Not spit it out, but this thing gets covered in it, layered in it. Because if you cut a pearl down the middle, it has layers. So it's forming around basically like a wound. They'll cut open their lip in order to stick this shit in there to influence it to start to create layers and layers and layers, a hard ass shell around something that was soft, around something that was, it was an irritant. That's how you you start to get shit like this. like root canal, like shit, festering abscess. But it is something about the speech that's affected, not just the thought process, but mind you, okay, look at this though. This is like the body. This is the head. These are the conditions and types of effects that it has. But also here, look at those. Those are fucking lungs. Those are lungs. The heart is in the middle. So consider that when you're recalling these and even speaking about them in context with other people, about things that really hurt you, really damaged you. The way you speak about it gives it definition. It now has platform. It now has solid ground to fester, to grow from. What are you planting when you're speaking these things? Your subconscious. This moon is here. The tower is here. It is fucking time. Like the Seven of Swords is here. I didn't show y'all this, but I mean Seven of Wands is here. It's a part of you that's trying to defend this shit. Whoa. There's two hands, and they've got the wands pointed down at these five. But this is where it's protecting. This almost is giving me, this is giving me womb vibes, but also sacral chakra. And this is why a lot of people are stunted here. This is why a lot of people's interpersonal relationships, and the ones that include sex specifically, do get stifled in that space. Because there's already debris. There's already, shit there that needs to be cleared out. You can't really start to ascend through the energy without lightening the load. Conqueror of Cups. But there's trying to be. Yeah, somebody trying. There's so much swords energy here. But the cups are trying to come through. Nine of Coins. This reminds me of the Zodiac Wheel. How each and every house, though, it has its own use. It has its own design. It has something to offer. Even, and this is why I was saying, harping on something specific. If people want to get into the Virgo energy, then specify it to what Virgo represents, not the way that their life plays out in reference to other energies and zodiacs. Like, make it about work, service, health, the human body, those types of things. If you're using the Virgo energy, that's the proper usage. It's a really practical usage that could really do some help. So to see people or specific energies, even if your Chiron is in a specific sign, I've had to open up my perception about what is it about this sign that does trigger me. What is the wounding? But how does it also help me? Or what positive things does this sign, what traits do they have? Is it something that I admire? Is it something that makes me uncomfortable? Is it, and it has started to open up my own creativity in ways I never imagined. So you're going to be able to find some kind of gem, even in the trash of shit that you may have gone through with a specific sign, specific person, or experience. Because you have the Nine of Coins here. With the Knight of Cups, oh my God, the Ace of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, and the fucking Magi. This is the Magician. So while the only thing... No, they're all here. There's Pentacles, there's Wands, there's Cups, and there's fucking Swords. You have the Tower and the Moon. So this is deeply, deeply active. And I say active because Tower is Mars. Whether it's Aries energy or Scorpio energy. But I would prefer the Scorpio energy with an accent of Aries energy, with a proactive nature of it, to actually dive into this Cancer Pisces energy of the moon. Then you have the Magi here. That's Virgo, and that's motherfucking Gemini. So you have all of these components. You have all of the elements really here working with you. Earth, water, fire, and air. If you're utilizing them, they're given to you. And it's showing that you can do the shit. I mean, you do have 9 of coins. This is something that you can pat your fucking self on the back and not say, well, this person healed me. I went to this healer and she just healed me all the way through. Nobody can do you like that. You know, even doctors, they're going to prescribe you shit. You're going to have side effects, and you're going to be needing more and more of their services in order to get to the next step. And it might just do you more damage than good to be solely reliant on another person for your well-being. You're not a child anymore. Even if your spirit, your emotional body is still childlike or still stuck in a stunted child age because of the experience taking place at that time, you have to understand where you are. Knowing, I saw it almost like this is Ruler of Swords. This is the King of Swords. Beautiful, beautiful growth there. But to see myself interacting with certain people interpersonally and be like, damn, I still feel like I'm in like high school, or I'm a child. And then to having another experience like, oh, I done graduated. Like, even though my chronological, biological age is here, my spiritual age is here, my emotional age and the levels it ascended to was quite different, and for a long time underdeveloped, because the experiences were still playing on a cyclical loop. Once the loop is completed and the cycle is completed, you start to grow in age, maturity, ability to actually accept and comprehend certain types of whatever it is, energies, whether it's love, your spiritual evolution, your compassion. Those things all advance. Those things all expand in their own time, depending on what you're using. So even going back to the zodiac wheel and how every sign and every house has its own usage. Yeah. We have 6 of Cups on the bottom. I don't know if that was a thorough shuffle. Seeker of Coins, probably not. 9 of Swords came back again. Sovereign of Swords, which is Knight of Swords, but it's right here that the Ace of Swords is here. So I feel that you will find that some of these things that you're afraid of, or some of these feelings you're having of other people being opposition or competition or attachments, they're based on fears. They're based on things that don't actually have form until you give it form. That's like the saying of, if you go looking for something, you're going to find it. Once you manifest it, it becomes real. So to be very mindful with the way you're thinking and your thoughts, because especially at night, if you're in bed and you're pondering certain things, imagining certain things, visualizing certain things, it becomes now an enlivened vision, and it will become a part of your experience, and you won't be able to tell if it was a memory or if it was something imagined. Taking vengeance out on thought forms versus people, because people can really get fucked up with you retaliating on them based on an imaginative Ruler of Cups feeling and thought you've had. 5 of Coins, the Star. There's much to be healed. And I see specifically with a love relationship, 9 of Wands, 5 of Wands, 5 of Cups. Damn right. These are your instances to cut through this. I did a reading yesterday, 2 readings actually, and I deleted the whole thing. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna post it. But the 5s came up, and how it was time. It was halfway to the 10. Like, these are the things that shape you. They're necessary. So if your biggest fear is being done wrong, being played, it's going to happen. It can't be a fear of yours. It's got to be something like, all right, I have discernment. I got growth. I got, my spirit. I got my guides. I have my intuition. I can't be played. I will get warned. I'm in charge of how I want to feel. And if I know that I'm sensing something that's real and not perceived fear, I can act accordingly. I always have a choice. This too, when it comes to your own creativity and you ascending in your careers, when you're choosing to put that best foot forward out there, stop concerning yourself with what people think your shoes look like. Like, it's all about your expression. Like, you can't be your authentic self ever if you're consumed with how you're perceived. Of course, you would want people to admire what you're doing or receive it in kind, the way that you're delivering it, but it will also block you from even beginning. Been there, done that. Brought a postcard, sent it to myself. So it's really, it's all on you. It always has been. It was never that big break is the tower, quite literally. So that's it for this week. This was the check-in, checking your vitals. This is vital to your ascension, to your growth, to your well-being. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you stuck around this long, leave a comment and let me know what you feel, what you think, and what it's